All right, let's talk about AI. It feels like it's everywhere, right? But what does it actually mean for how companies come up with new ideas? Today, we're digging into a really fascinating paper that argues AI is forcing us to completely rethink innovation itself. And look, this isn't just about plugging in a new piece of technology. We're talking about a deep, fundamental shift in how we work, how we innovate, and even how we structure our companies. So let's get into it.
First, just to give you a sense of the scale we're dealing with, a 2024 McKinsey report found that AI adoption has shot up to 72% across different industries. That is a huge leap. It really shows you how fast AI is becoming just a standard part of doing business. So the question is no longer if a company will use AI, but how they're going to use it.
And that how is the million-dollar question, isn't it? Because even though so many companies are jumping on board, the actual know-how to really make the most of AI, well, it's lagging way behind. And that creates this real tension. Just because you have the tool doesn't mean your organization is ready for the revolution it can bring.
And this is the core idea we have to get our heads around. Thinking of AI as just another app or a new piece of software is a massive mistake. To really succeed, you have to be ready for some serious, maybe even uncomfortable changes to your company. AI is the catalyst that forces us to rethink everything, right from the ground up.
So to really understand this big shift, we're going to look at 4 key areas. We'll kick things off with strategy, then we'll see how that changes the organization itself. After that, we'll zoom in on the people, the new workforce. And finally, we'll look at a whole new era of collaboration. And then, of course, we'll talk about your next move.
All right, let's dive into that first pillar, rethinking your AI strategy. Because honestly, without a smart plan, you're just chasing the hype. A solid strategy is absolutely the place to start.
You know, it's pretty easy to spot those small individual wins. A developer uses an AI to write code a little faster, or an analyst uses it to spot a trend. That's great, but those little productivity bumps don't automatically add up to big organizational success. To get the real benefits, AI has to be woven into the very fabric of the company, into its core processes, its structure, its culture. And that takes a serious investment in people and in data.
So this leads to a classic business dilemma, but it's been totally supercharged by AI. Do you use it for exploitation, just doing what you already do but better and faster? Or do you go for exploration, using AI to dream up completely new business models? Because AI can learn and generate ideas on a scale we've never seen before, this choice becomes more important than ever.
And this brings us to some really tough questions that leaders have to answer. For example, do you create one central powerhouse AI team, or do you spread that talent across the whole company? How do you handle your data, not just effectively, but ethically? And what's the right balance between automation and good old-fashioned human creativity? There are no easy answers here, but you have to get them right. Okay, let's move on to our second pillar, reshaping your organization. This is where that strategy starts to change the actual blueprint of your company.
So the first thing you'll notice is the impact on efficiency. AI is already a game changer when it comes to automating tasks, from the simple to the super complex. In medicine, it's helping make diagnoses more accurate. In software, it's literally writing code. This frees up your people to focus on the bigger picture, on higher-level innovation, instead of getting bogged down in routine work. And that shift in efficiency causes this huge ripple effect across the entire company structure. To keep up, organizations have to get flatter, more agile. We're seeing the rise of these cross-functional teams that are built around AI specialists. Innovation teams might actually get smaller, but the people on them will be way more specialized, and all of their decisions will be driven by real-time data.
All of this forces us to step back and reevaluate the very building blocks of a company. I mean, how do you divide up tasks between a person and an algorithm? How do you decide who does what? And how in the world do you reward people for performance when a machine is a key player on the team?
Which, of course, brings us perfectly to pillar number 3, the new AI workforce. This is all about the who, the actual people, and the new skills we need to make any of this work.
So the research suggests that to really succeed with AI, companies need to focus on filling 2 brand new and absolutely critical types of roles: the AI implementers and the AI complementers.
So let's break that down. Think of the AI implementers as the people building the engine. They're your tech experts, your data scientists, your engineers. But an engine is useless without a driver, right? That's where the AI complementers come in. These are your domain experts, the marketers, designers, strategists who know the business inside and out. They're the ones steering the AI, making sure it solves the right problems. You absolutely need both. But here's the catch. There's a massive global shortage of this kind of talent. And the best of the best, they're often flocking to those flashy, high-growth startups, not necessarily to established companies. This means you probably can't just hire your way out of this problem. You have to get serious about upskilling the people you already have to fill these crucial new roles.
All right, on to our fourth and final pillar, collaboration in the AI era. Because in a world that runs on data, innovation is definitely not a solo sport anymore.
You see, AI models are hungry. They're starving for data. And a lot of times, the best data lives outside the four walls of your company. This is a huge change. All of a sudden, your most valuable innovation partner might not be some other tech company, it might be a local hospital or a university, or even your city council. These new partnerships are key to getting the data you need to build something truly powerful. But even beyond these outside partners, we've got to talk about what might be the most important collaboration of all, the one happening between humans and AI itself. This is where the real magic is going to happen.
And this quote from the source paper just nails it. The goal isn't replacement, it's augmentation. The biggest challenge for leaders today is to design systems where AI makes human work better, where it elevates our skills and frees us up for creativity and strategy, for finding the next problem to solve, not just solving the one in front of us.
Okay, so let's pull all of this together. Let's talk about your next move, how you can turn all these big ideas into real, meaningful action.
So, it all comes back to these four pillars. But here's the thing. This isn't a checklist you can just tick off. It's an interconnected system. Your strategy shapes your organization, which determines the people you need. And none of it works without a totally new way of thinking about collaboration. Getting one piece right isn't enough. They all have to move together.
And that leaves us with the final, really provocative question that the researchers posed. Is this just about adapting our existing companies? Or does the rise of AI demand entirely new ways of organizing ourselves? Can the structures we have now evolve? Or do we need to invent something from scratch? It's a huge question, and it's one every leader should be asking themselves right now. Thanks so much for joining me.